I'm Scott Al Miller. It is the 15th of November 2023. This is my vlog of daily life living in Latin America, and I'm doing the entire video today from the South American country of Bolivia. This is a bit different for our channel. A lot of you have gotten used to me being in Nicaragua all the time, and I'm here in Bolivia for the next week. This is going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of stuff to show you. I'm doing some interesting things, and I'm not moving around too much after today, so I will have a chance to actually get out and show you some of the places in Bolivia that I will be going. So today I am starting the day in the largest city in the country and its port of entry, Santa Cruz de la Sierra in the east. But I will be heading up to Cochabamba tonight. I'm going to tell you about my day in Santa Cruz. I will give you a tour of the apartment that I'm in right now doing the filming on today's episode, and we're going to get to the show right after the bump. It has been a long journey this far. I'm here at Viru Viru International Airport in Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Bolivia. I left on the bus, did an entire day of doing a bus, an entire day of flying. I'm now well into the next day of flying, and I'm finally here in Bolivia, and that went incredibly smoothly. It's just a really long process. But I'm not done yet. This is Santa Cruz, which I'll do my best to show you. There is a very dusty sun behind me. So this is a low, warm city kind of in the Amazon basin. Not quite, but it's in that area, so it gets the weather from there. And we're going to see, yeah, there's the sun. You can see it through the trees a little bit at some point behind me. It is very orange and very low, and it's gorgeous out here this morning. It is so comfortable and nice, but I'm going to be here for about 12 hours, and then I'm flying up to Cochabamba, where I'm going to be actually staying. So that's where I'm going to be showing you a lot more stuff, but I'm here for a few hours. I got friends coming to pick me up right now, so just waiting for them to get here, and we'll be off to see a little bit of Santa Cruz before going on to Cochabamba. So real quickly, because I just did this minutes ago, I want to go through a little bit of what it takes for an American to come into Bolivia, because there's not a lot of information on this, and it's very confusing and whatever. So if you're an American, you're coming to Bolivia, you need a visa. That is true. If you're coming from most places, and especially if you're coming from Nicaragua like me, you cannot get that visa there. You have to get it here. There's not a lot of clarity about that. So you can go onto the embassy website for Bolivia, for Migracion, and you can fill out a visa application online. I think you can skip that, but I wouldn't. Definitely fill it out, because it makes you upload all the information. It makes sure that they have the right information. I had everything printed out and just handed it to them from that, and they were just like, cool. So that was really easy. But so you go online, you do that, and they want to have your itinerary. There's something that isn't mentioned anywhere, is you have to have the address and the phone number of the hotel you're staying at, or an Airbnb or whatever. I had that, I just didn't have it in the packet. So they asked for it separately. So luckily I had my Airbnb app. I just opened it up and showed it to them, and they were perfectly happy. They're like, yep, cool. And something else that's not explained. So it is explained that you have to get a visa, and that there's a fee for that. It's $160 US, or 1,069 Bolivarians, which is not that bad. What they don't say is that's not per entry, that's for 10 years. So I now have a 10-year visa, which is really nice, so I can come and go to Bolivia over the next 10 years without having to pay again. That's fantastic. We were making some travel plans based around not wanting to keep crossing the border and paying $160 every time. So that's way easier. So all that paperwork and stuff is a one-time deal, or I mean, I have to do it again in 10 years. And it was super easy. 160 bucks every 10 years, not a problem, right? Like, that's cool. And I can see now that I can do this, coming back to Bolivia will probably make sense, because we do work here, and it's in the middle of things. It's really cool. I'm planning on coming back and going to Paraguay soon, and might as well fly into Bolivia and drive down to Paraguay rather than flying directly into Paraguay, possibly. But we weren't going to do that because of the $160 visa. So that's actually a really good deal, that it's a 10-year. So the thing you kind of have to know is what you're supposed to do, and no one tells you this, is you come in, and you can just go through the line, because there's an amazingly long line, huge queue, because there's just, when people come into Bolivia, it's all at once, and it's all here at Viru Viru. I don't know where else reasonably has a point of entry. Technically there are, but this is where everybody comes in. And so when you arrive, you're in this massive line trying to come through Migracion, and it takes forever, and that line goes past the areas where you would need to see the signage that tells you what to do. What you actually need to do is jump that line, and over on the left there is a cashier. There's a caja. There's two people, and you can just pay them for your visa. So what you actually want to do is jump the line, go there, because there's no line for that. No one else needs to do it, and have your packet, have all the information, show your passport, give all the stuff that you had to give online, your flights, your hotel, your $160. You can pay with a credit card or cash. And I actually paid with a credit card, and they did it in Bolivians, and it was cheaper. It was like $2 cheaper somehow, because their conversion is better than xe.com. Great. So you do all that, then they give you this huge visa that takes an entire page of your passport, which luckily I've got the big passport, so it's not a big deal. Then you can go get in the line and go through normal migracion and go through that. And both will take your picture. Both will want to see a bunch of that paperwork. Both will want to see your address and the phone number of where you're going and the flight that you're using to get home and all that. So make sure you have a flight home. Make sure you have at least a hotel booked. Make sure you have access to give them $160, all that stuff. Very easy. You can also fill out your paperwork for customs online for the aduana. You don't have to. Everyone does it on the plane, but that's annoying. Filling it out online took 2 minutes, is way easier. I had it with me. I could sleep through all that and just hand it to them and walk through. All of it was super easy. It took me so long to go through the process of getting my visa that the guys at the luggage actually delivered me my luggage in the immigration line. So that was, I've never had that happen before. But the whole thing was very easy. Just took a little while. Everybody was very friendly, and we're here in Bolivia, so super excited to be here. But what a long night. So Peru was fine. Never left the airport, just basically sat there for 3 hours. No big deal. I didn't eat or drink anything while I was in Peru. It's been, all the flights on LATAM have been fantastic. I will fly LATAM again, no question. And I think that's LATAM arriving. That's Air Europa. I don't even know them. A lot of different airlines. When you come down here, there's a lot of people flying places that you would just not know, right? And there's a lot of destinations that's like, I never thought of people flying there. Obviously they do in like little hoppers, but like connecting flights to all kinds of places. So this is very interesting. I want to show a little bit the other direction out here behind me. So it's like, this is just a huge open plain. I can't see any of the city anywhere. I don't even know where it is. I think we're north of it, but this is just a huge empty area. There's nothing around at all. It's weird, not what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, right? But the name of the city suggests that it's kind of in the mountains, and I guess we're up a little bit, but this is more like we're just in a big flat plain. But we're pretty close to the Amazon region here. So it is a big flat area in a lot of ways. A lot of taxis coming by, really hopeful that I'm looking for a ride somewhere. So this is Viru Viru Airport. We're here in Bolivia, and we're gonna go see Santa Cruz. I didn't get a lot of time to film while I was in Santa Cruz, so I'm here in beautiful Cochabamba, where I'm going to tell you about the rest of my day in Santa Cruz. Right after I did the video at Viru Viru Airport, I was picked up by my friend Melanie and her husband Daniel, who she's worked with us for a couple of years now, and she's the only one of our staff who live in Santa Cruz, but very cool that she was able to get me at the airport. They drove me back to their house, and I got to hang out there for a while. I got to do some cool stuff. So it's neat, of course, coming to a new country, especially in getting to go to like a friend's house and seeing how real people live in the real world, right? And you see what a real house looks like in a normal neighborhood, and it was just really cool. I didn't want to film their house though, so so I went there and hung out for a little bit and relaxed, because I didn't sleep all night, so I need a little bit of time to adjust, right? So I stopped off and got a shower, made some coffee there at the house, and while we sat around talking for a little bit, I had my first mate, and I got to go into this for a little bit because this is a big cultural thing when you're coming to South America, especially on the southern portion, which Bolivia is in the middle, so it gets a little bit of like a little bit of a Colombian feel for some things, but it tends to be more towards Argentina for things, and so you're going to find a lot of Argentinian products and culture blending here, especially as there's a lot of mixing of actual people from the two countries between each other. A lot of Argentinians come to Bolivia for opportunities because Bolivia's got a stronger economy right now, and a lot of Bolivians go to Argentina for lower cost of living. So it's a natural back and forth with people at the border. Plus, they just have a lot of cultural affinities. Anyway, mate is famously used in Argentina as this huge part of the culture, but it's one of those things that spills over and is completely done in Bolivia as well. And we hear about this in the United States, and we never have access to mate to really do this. And the cultural thing is, you have these cups, right? They have like a built-in straw and a built-in filter, and they're kind of like expensive thermos things. Like everybody's got one, right? And you fill it with the mate mix, and then you pour like hot water onto it or whatever, and then you pass it around. And it's funny, I told Dominica, it's a little bit like British tea meets bong culture. It's like passing a bong around, but it's like having tea. So it's this really funny thing where you pass it from person to person. And so I got to try that for the first time. And honestly, I was like not too shocked by it. It seemed a lot like herbal tea, right? Like a mint tea. And it's mostly like, you know, herbal tea shoved into a cup. And then, so it's like this equipment that's kind of special and this culture around how you share it. But the actual drink was not very surprising. It was quite strong. That's important. But you only do it in small amounts. It's not like in the US where when we make herbal tea, we typically make like a 16-ounce cup or whatever, and then you have a lot to sip. This is more like 4 to 6 ounces, but you have so much of the mate in there that you just put more hot water in and pass it to the next person. You can do it for a while. So that was interesting and cool, and I'm glad I got to do it. But I'm going to skip ahead. So I came to Cochabamba and I had to go buy some medicine and preparation stuff for the altitude. I'm here at 8,000 feet and I'm right in front of my apartment building is actually right there. And I'm in the beautiful Fidel Anse Park, which is absolutely fantastic. And I hope on tomorrow's episode, I'm going to walk a bunch of it for you so you can really see this part of the city, because this part's fantastic. You got to see this. But right now I'm just getting a little bit stationary because we got to catch up. And I can't do too much walking because while I'm acclimated great, I do run out of air when doing physical activities. So it's enough for me to be talking. Like my talking is so fast and intense, it's a physical activity, right? If I combine that with walking, all bets are off. So, and those who watch my show all the time are like, this guy gets winded sometimes just walking in Nicaragua at sea level. So 8,000 feet is going to be rough. You're right, it is. So, So I was with Ozzy, who's my friend here in Cochabamba, and we were at the store getting stuff, and he's like, yeah, you gotta get some like coca tea and some stuff, and I'm like, is like looking for it on the shelf, and they have like tea and tea verde, which is green tea, and then they have mate de coca, and I'm like, wait, mate, I'm confused. So is mate an herb and they're mixing that with this? And he's like, no. And he's like trying to ponder how to explain this. And I'm looking at the different things I'm finding, like mate de chamomile, that's not what they call it, but you know what I mean? And mate de menta, which is peppermint. And like I'm pulling these different things and my gears are turning and I'm like, wait a second. Te is tea. Mate, is mate just herbal tea? Is that the Spanish, the South American Spanish word for herbal tea? And he's like, yes, it's just herbal tea. I'm like, wait, so when I'm doing Argentinian mate in the cup, it's just a tradition of the cup and the passing it around. It's just loose herbal tea being shoved into a cup. He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, so when I do mente mate, like we did this morning, that was just loose peppermint shoved into a cup with hot water poured on it. Mate's not a thing. It just means herbal tea. He's like, yeah, it's that simple. I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody knows this. Like, this is so confusing. So afterwards, I talked to Valentina in Mexico, who's like my reference for North American Spanish, right? And I'm like, so what do you think mate is? Or I think I asked her, what's herbal tea to you in Spanish? And she's like, you know, té de hierbas, right? I'm like, so in South America, it's mate. And she's like, wait, no, that's that thing that they do in Argentina. I'm like, yes, it's just herbal tea. She's like, wait, what? So even in Mexico, they're like, this is not something we understand. She's like, I thought that was an herb that they were adding mint and other flavors to. And then they had this tradition around drinking that specific herb. I'm like, that's what I thought. Everyone I know thinks that. So now we've discovered that mate is herbal tea. So it's very important if you're going to the grocery store here and you're shopping, you just want some chamomile tea or whatever, it's going to be called mate, because it's true. In English, tea is an incorrect word. Herbal tea, that makes no sense. Real tea is herbal tea, because tea is a specific plant. And when we get what we call herbal tea, because tea is an herb, right? So that's really confusing, because what we call herbal tea is not tea, and what we call tea is an herb. So we don't have a word for mate in English, and it's a marketing term. I've seen shows about this, how a marketing company came up with herbal tea as a way to try to sell just hot water and herbs. But it works. But so that is the mate story. So I got to do that this morning, and that was cool because I've never done mate before. And even though it's just herbal tea, the whole tradition of like passing it around like a bong is like a friendly bonding experience is really neat. And it's cool that they drink herbal tea all day long, right? They get like tons of mint or whatever that way and just stay fresh and hydrated or whatever. So that was cool. So we did that in Santa Cruz this morning. And then after doing that and hanging out for a little bit, we just hopped in the car and went for a drive and went and explored the city a little bit. And I really didn't film very much. I got just these little glimpses. It was such a fast day because I only have, you know, so many hours in between everything. And I was there to hang out with Melanie. So I didn't want to really spend too much of the day filming. But we drove around the city and I got to see it quite a bit. And Santa Cruz is interesting because it's a city of 2.4 million and it's growing like crazy. And it's super smog. That's why it was so orange this morning. The whole city is under fires from the forest around it, but they're intentional fires. It is the Amazon being burned so they can homestead and put in more city. So it's a land rush. And basically, if you destroy the environment, you're given free land around the city. It's crazy. So people are just burning the wild land all around the city so they can get cheap land and expand the city. So the whole city's under some of the worst smog in the world over the last several weeks or months. And that it wasn't too bad today. Like I was coughing a little bit, but it didn't feel terrible. And it's smoke smog, not like industrial pollution smog. So it's not the worst, but it's pretty awful. So we got to go, so the Plaza Mayor, went and saw the cathedral. We went and did lunch at a fancy sandwich shop. And I got my first introduction to a lot of things. In Bolivia, it was definitely a very cool experience. Then we drove like out of the city a little bit and went and explored a small village and saw some traditional stuff. We went and got some ice cream things, but I filmed that separately, so I'll show that to you. All right, we're trying this it's like an icy or an ice cream thing, and it comes in different flavors. We're in the park here in a village, I don't know its name. And so this is achachairu, which is related to the mangosteen. It is this is ice cream, but it's a fruit that grows in the Amazon basin, and it's absolutely delicious. It's really good, and it's melting fast. This is really cool. So we're going out for a walk in this little park here. And we're just getting a little bit of time in Santa Cruz before I got to get back to the airport. And we just kind of walked around a little bit and had a nice time. But my window was so small that I really needed to be back to the airport by 2 o'clock. So they picked me up pretty early, like at 6 a.m. It really was until we went out, probably until about 10 a.m. Like I took a long shower, we talked for a long time, I tried to relax a little bit just because there's so much travel. So it was a short day once you included the food and going around and trying to find a few different things. But we had a really nice time. It was very cool. And then just went back to the airport, and I made sure I had lots of time at the airport. It was a little bit less than 2 hours, way more than enough, because it's only like 5 gates at the airport for Viru Viru, and it's a domestic flight, so very easy. Just flying up to Cochabamba, it's like 70 minutes or something like that. It's only $37 to fly between cities inside the country. No issues whatsoever. I did stop and get a little bit of food at the airport because there's a couple food items I wasn't able to get while we were in Santa Cruz, so I got some it's kind of like mashed potatoes, but it's made from yuca with cheese on top. That was kind of good. And I got a cheese empanada. That was good. Had some coffee. Feeling very tired, and gonna be a little bit run down when I get up to Cochabamba, but I'll be able to make it, and I think it's gonna be a good evening. So I got on the plane, no issues whatsoever, and off to Cochabamba. It was a fun day. I arrived in Cochabamba and got to come into this apartment. So I want to show this apartment while I've got some really good light and can show you around, because I'm very happy with this. This is Airbnb. It's only costing me like $20 a night. I need to double check that price, but it's very affordable. I got that for the whole week, and I'm right in the middle of the city, so it's a great location on the Parque Fidel Anse. I'm in the middle of restaurants and shops. I can walk to a bunch of things. I have a park, and one of the reasons I'm here for several days is the acclimation to the altitude. We're at 8,000 feet here, which is not terrible. Most people are fine at 8,000 feet, but you kind of need to be at 8,000 feet to get used to the change in altitude, so that you're better to go to higher altitude. You don't want to go to a point where you're having a problem. So I got an apartment, and I'm on the 5th floor, so I've got a little bit extra over the ground level, not very much, but so far I'm in and feeling good. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a little tour of this apartment because it's pretty nice. I'm very happy with it. All right, we're coming in the apartment from the front door. close the door behind me here. So the bathroom is really nicely appointed. I'm very happy with the shower, everything. This is really nice. That is full hot water. Like, this is really comfortable. Lots of water pressure, very hot, very, very hot. It's great. The whole bathroom is very nice and modern. And it comes with these microfiber towels. And then this is just a studio apartment, so this is not very big, but it's completely adequate for me. I'm really just looking at this as an alternative to a hotel room, so it's perfect, right? But I'm here for a week, so I want a little bit more. So I have a little tiny kitchenette. I'm able to do a little bit of stuff. I've gone and gotten water. There is a water problem right now in this part of Bolivia because of a severe drought, so that is not normal. Normally, you just drink the water, but I was told that there are some problems, so I needed to be a little bit more careful. So I got a bunch of bottled water just to be safe. But I've got a nice kitchen and working space here. Like, this is comfortable. There's some stools under there. Couch is decent. The bed is super comfortable. I'm very happy with the bed. And I have a little balcony. I have views out into the mountains, a little entertainment area. These are all built-in storage, just in case you need to store anything. Very handy. Got my laptop plugged in there. Mostly I've been using my laptop either over here or just setting it up there if I'm standing and working. Internet's good here. I get about 35 megabits per second. I've been doing my uploads for you guys, and it has been solid. I'm going to have no problems this week doing the show, so boy, that makes me so happy. And then this is the view. You can see a bit of the city here and a bit of the mountains out there. Lots of mountains in Cochabamba. Now we're at 8,000 feet, but the mountains that you're seeing go up to about 12,000 feet. You can see we have a good sized balcony here. So I've been out here a bit. I just have the door open here. I just leave this open. I get a nice fresh air. Cochabamba is very pleasant all year round. So you don't have to worry about the time of year when you're here. It's pretty close to the equator and it's very high altitude. So that means that the weather tends to be dry, kind of cool, but it's never not warm. It's always a very comfortable. So you can I'm wearing jeans, I'm wearing a button down, I'm wearing sneakers, and I'm comfortable walking around outside. I don't feel like I need a jacket or anything like that. I am when I get up to La Paz, definitely gonna need something, but down here, this has been great. So this Airbnb, just $20 a night, which is fantastic. I'm paying for 4 nights. I paid $108 after all the fees, all the cleaning fees and everything, and I plan to extend 1 night because we're going to be here a little bit longer than originally anticipated, and this was a great choice. And the location is fantastic too, with the park right out front, which is behind me as I'm showing you this. So I can't show you the park from this view, but just outside, I mean, there are so many restaurants, walking paths, the bicycle path that goes to the middle of the city, all of that is right outside. So this location has been a perfect choice, thanks to Ozzy, who told me this is where I wanted to be, because he's absolutely right. I'm very, very happy with the location. So this is my apartment. This is where I will be for the next week. So you can't really see it, but my apartment building is right here behind me. So this is where I'm staying, up on the 5th floor with views of the park. It's really nice. Now, I don't have views. I'm on the backside, but I got nice views too of the mountains. The whole city is really pretty. As long as you can get up a little bit or being around one of the parks, you've got nice views. You've got nice fresh air. At 8,000 feet, you get tons of nice, good air. There's not a lot of manufacturing in the city, so it's good air up here, even though it's a little bit thin. And tons of tall buildings, modern structures. This is a really modern, up-and-coming city. They say it's only just over 1 million, maybe 1.4 million people, but it feels much bigger than that. If at the size that they say it is, it should only be about the same size as Managua, and it feels significantly larger than Managua. So once I got here, Ozzy picked me up. So doing things out of order, we already did the tour of the apartment. So Ozzy picked me up, and we started off by doing some shopping because there's just supplies you need to get. So we went and got toilet paper, and I needed a new toothbrush. While we were on this, I discovered that my toothbrush, I don't pay attention to stuff, right? My toothbrush has been in my luggage. I don't really look at it. It had black mold on it, and apparently every time I use it, I get like a lung thing. That could be why. So I threw that out, got a new toothbrush, picked up some toothpaste, picked up some like little things, water for the apartment because there is a drought. So normally you can drink the tap water here without a problem. Right now they're advising against it because there is a water supply issue. You're probably okay, but why take the chance on such a short trip? And bottled water is easy and cheap, right? So got that stuff. I picked up a few sodas, like a few different things to show you guys, so you can see it on the channel. And of course, snacks and stuff. It's always fun. And we went to a big place. It's kind of like a Walmart, so they had some groceries, had some regular shopping, and it's interesting to see the shopping experiences in different countries. So that was kind of fun. So we did that, and then we just went out to dinner right down here. There's a Mexican restaurant right about where my hand is, just 2 doors down from my apartment this week, and excellent dinner, excellent. They didn't have very much vegetarian on the menu, but we said, like, I'm vegetarian, what can you do? And they're like, oh, we got you. They're like, how about this thing but with mushrooms, and this thing with beans, and this thing? So I ended up doing a burrito of champignons, which is mushrooms, and it was fantastic. I couldn't even finish it, and Ozzy said meals here are generally pretty big. Bolivians eat large portions, kind of like Nicaragua, right? Both Nicaragua and Bolivia, from what I've seen, the portions are much bigger than, say, in Texas, where they're actually relatively small, but they're quite a bit bigger than even like New York, which is a little bit bigger than Texas in general. So that was excellent dinner. We had a really nice time. Then we realized we had a little bit more shopping to do, so we ran back to the place, went shopping again. So now I know my way around, like the local stuff I can get around pretty well. And it was a nice evening, but mostly I just want to get into the apartment, and I need to get to sleep early. So after dinner, just did that quick shopping. He dropped me off, and then he took off. He'll get me in the morning so that we can go do stuff. And tomorrow I'll be in Cochabamba all day, and that was it. I set up in the apartment. I got uploads going. My internet's working really well. I'm getting more than 30 megabits. Like, it's noticeably working great. No problems at all. The apartment's comfortable. The bed is super comfortable. Absolutely everything's good. Zero problems. Absolutely zero. Except there was no toilet paper. I had to go pick some up. That was a little bit of an emergency, but other than that, like, everything has been really, really nice. And what a great location with this park. I can't wait to walk it tomorrow with you guys so you can really see it. One thing worth mentioning, if you're coming to this area, and this includes Santa Cruz, but more because of the smog, and up here because of the air, it is very dry. You will dehydrate very easily, so be careful with that. If you're coming to this area and staying more than 12 hours, make sure you're really working hard to hydrate, because you will end up, because it isn't a desert, you don't really notice how dry it is, but it is quite dry, and you can lose your water quickly, and that's extra problematic because you're at altitude. It's not the highest altitude, but you really want to stay well hydrated and avoid alcohol and not overexert yourself. All things that you're very tempted to do when you have nice crisp air and beautiful parks. You want to just go out, not worry about getting some water, go jogging, maybe see a nice bar and stop and have a drink. That's like the wrong combination of things to do. So you want lots of water, lots of tea, maybe some coffee. Make sure you're getting caffeine. Everyone says coca tea. There is medicine at any pharmacy for altitude. Consider just taking that. Bolivia actually manufactures it specifically because the entire country is at such high altitude that they need it at a ratio that other countries do not. So they have all that really well handled. And that is our first day here in Bolivia. So thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Scott L. Miller. That comes directly to me, helps so much. Be sure to tell your friends and family about the show. Post on social media, things like Facebook and Reddit, Twitter, all those things. That's how new people find the show, other than you telling them and holding them down and cajoling them until they decide to watch and subscribe. And if someone hands you their phone, just go to my channel casually, find it, hit subscribe so they don't notice, and they'll start watching naturally. And they'll never know why they got sucked in, but they will. And once they're in, you know, they're hooked. They become one of the little people who live in my GoPro. Thanks for joining me. I will see all of you from beautiful Cochabamba, Bolivia tomorrow.